This is about the speed I'll be doing. I think about to dominate.
That's it. You're good at this. How are the hamstrings? So anyone can learn to pole vault.
I don't think I'm doing it anytime soon. G'day everyone, my name is Callan Derlick and today we're going to be working with Amanda Bisk. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
A little bit scared because, as I just said, I haven't done anything sort of outside the gym yet. I'm seeing like medicine balls, you've got like a massive measuring tape there's a track here.
Yeah.
Very scared. What are we doing today?
All right, so I'm going to take you through a sprint session, but we're also going to intertwine a few of the exercises that I used to do as an elite pole vaulter.
Okay, yeah, cool.
So we're going to incorporate some plyometrics and some medicine ball work. So
Cool.
I think it's probably something you haven't done before, which is exciting.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, first of all, let's just talk about pole vaulting, right? Because it's always one of those sports. The Olympics have just been on. You went to the Commonwealth Games for Australia. Like, my question is always, how do you do the first jump?
Yeah, everyone always asks me this and they're like, isn't it scary? Like, how do you just like go and jump over a bar? But it's so basic when you first start. Literally, like, you just learn to hold a pole and then kind of hang on it. Everyone thinks you got to do this like pull-up maneuver, but it's about hanging and being nice and loose on the pole. So you kind of learn that and you actually jump into a sandpit first. So
okay, yeah, right.
super simple. You do like 2 steps. So anyone can learn to pole vault.
I don't think I'm doing it anytime soon.
First for our warm-up, I normally do some straights. So we'll do just some like skipping, some side steps and some jog throughs.
Okay. So I'll follow
let's
you.
do that. All right, so first one's just like skipping. I normally do like 5 to 7 and then I'll turn around and do some side steps.
Yep, nice.
And then turn back to the front and then go the other way.
I was reading about you this morning, how you've always been the athlete, you know, and you were sort of discovered, I guess, by the West Australian Institute of Sport. So what was the sort of the first sport you were getting into, or how did you discover you were actually athletic?
So I actually got into gymnastics, and that was because my dad said I had way too much energy.
Okay.
So he kind of put me in because he was like, this girl needs to let go of some of this energy somehow, and I'm sick and tired of her running and hanging off things at home. So yeah, he took me to the gym, and I think I was like 2.5 at the time.
Yeah, wow.
And the gymnastics club actually didn't take anyone unless they were 3. But my dad was really adamant.
No, please take her.
Yeah, literally, please take her.
You did gymnastics until what age?
I literally did it all my childhood until I was 18.
Yep.
And I probably would have kept doing it, but at that time, I started pole vaulting. And my pole vault coach was like, you have to choose. It's either pole vault or gymnastics. So I absolutely loved pole vault. So I stopped at 18. But the good thing about pole vault was that we actually included gymnastics training in our training. So once a week, we'd go to the gym and do all the flips and stuff that I loved. So
at what age did you start pole vaulting?
So I was 18.
Oh, you started at 18?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, which is actually quite old.
Yeah.
A lot of pole vaulters get identified when they're about 12.
Yeah, okay.
And that's specifically to get coordination, but because I was already a gymnast, I was kind of a few steps ahead.
What was the training like at the beginning in terms of frequency? So like you get identified to be a pole vaulter, are they sort of like they put you on a track, you know, to the Olympics sort of straight away? Is it like it's pretty intense?
Yeah, here in Australia, it's actually quite hard to get into pole vault.
Right.
So I actually was identified by the West Australian Institute of Sport. They put me into a development program straight away, so I was already kind of into elite training.
And so what does that look like as a 18-year-old?
Training every day.
Yeah.
And it's a mixture of training, so it could be sprint sessions, hurdling, we do gymnastics, like I mentioned before, jumping sessions, med ball sessions, in the weights room as well. So it's very varied, which is really good for my personality because I get bored easily.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're gonna go knee up, knee up, knee up, knee up. And you wanna try and hit the ground as hard as you can. So you wanna go bang, 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 bang. That's it. You're good at this.
There's so much concentration going on. We rest, right?
Yeah, rest.
Back.
This is the good part.
Excellent.
I think this is what drew me to athletics as well, is that it's very social.
Yep.
Although you're like an individual athlete, you have your training group and your training friends, and you know, you get times like this where you're just not really doing much.
Yeah.
You just catch up on all the gossip, which is really cool.
And I guess like meets are always as a team anyway, aren't they? So you're always competing with a team.
As a pole vaulter, I had my whole pole vault group, all in different age groups. A few people were in my age group. So yeah, you compete together, which is awesome.
Yeah. Do you feel like because you were into it so young, do you feel like you missed out on a bunch of stuff growing up, or was it all pretty well, like that's what you wanted to do?
Well, I'm an only child, so for me, sport was my outlet to have friends and to have almost like family and sisters and brothers and all that kind of stuff. So I really felt like I didn't miss out at all. I almost felt like I was special and that, you know, I could practice my talent and just have a good time with friends. Like that's what sport's all about.
Yeah,
so
great.
I felt really, lucky. So you're running with straight legs, your toes are up, so pointing towards your nose,
Yep.
but your elbows are bent.
Okay.
All right, so.
I'll watch you. Yeah.
How'd we go?
All right.
Yeah,
Right.
good. All right.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how much I exercise or stretch or how many electrolytes I have, I'm still always cramping in my calves at the end of a game. I don't know what that is, probably just age or unfitness or.
Yeah, every athlete's so different.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard of AFL players who don't warm up because they cramp too much in a game. So, you know, you've got to find out what works for you, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just do that. And
Just don't warm up.
I'll just rock up 5 minutes before the game. All right, guys, I'm ready. Let's go.
This is probably going to be the hardest drill.
Okay.
So it's like double step, A step.
Right.
So you're going to go 2 on the right, 2 on the left, 2 on the right, 2 on the left.
Yeah.
Probably best to watch first.
Yep.
All right, so we go 2 on the right, 2 on the left.
Oh my God, I
2
can't.
on the right, 2 on the left.
I have to see that again.
I'll do it on the way back, ready? So 2 on the right, 2 on the left, 2 on the right, 2 on the left.
So, legs straight.
Yeah.
So hang on, so I gotta go, nah. What am I doing?
So your left leg stays straight.
Yeah.
So we go up, up, and then you change. So the other leg goes straight, up, up.
I go,
Side. Yes. And then now the other side. So then you're gonna do 2 straights.
This is about the speed I'll be doing it, I think.
That's it.
I can't do it.
One more go.
One more go.
All right, you got this.
So I go up.
Do you want to see it one more time?
Straight, up, straight.
Yeah.
God.
So
how are you moving forward doing that?
Me.
Let's just cut there because I can't do that. Yep, good.
The last one that we do in this sequence now is just skipping.
Okay.
And you're going to try and skip for height, so as high as you can. So we're going to hit. That's it.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, good.
I've been skipping since I was a kid, guys. It's fine. You started pole vaulting at 18.
Yep.
Then do you get selected for like an Australian team?
Yeah, so we're in like the development squad and your goal is to be or have a scholarship with WACE. Unless you are really good and you're competing over in the European circuit.
Right.
Pretty much it's like you have to have a job to be an athlete, which is pretty intense because you train a lot, you don't have a lot of time. And you know, I was working at a cafe at the time when I was an elite athlete, and yeah, it's sad for the sport, but I hope it's kind of going in a different direction. So
it is sad because, you know, like we said, like the Olympics were on this year and you see how much it means to the Australian public, and you know that'd be the same for all around the world, right? Like families sitting in front of their TV, oh, this is on tonight, quick, we've got someone in this race, we're doing this. So yeah, the fact that I guess people aren't being paid enough to sort of, you know, represent their country like that is it's pretty sad.
Yeah.
And do you think it stops people from going into it?
Maybe not getting into it. Like Little A's is so popular here in Australia, and even athletics is like, it does pretty well, but I think it stops people from turning elite, just because it's really hard to get really good when you don't have the time to train, and especially when you're really tired after, you know, for me, I was standing on my legs all day in a cafe, so you're exhausted by the end of the day, and then you have to try and train really well. And there's athletes in Europe and America who don't work at all and who get funded. They can just worry about training. So
is that the sort of like the college system in America is like sets them up to succeed a lot better?
Yeah, college system is awesome.
Yeah, right.
And also, like pole vault example, in America, you can pole vault as a high schooler, just at your high school, which you can't do here. So it's just a really nice way to get people into the sport.
Why don't they do that here?
Don't know, I guess it's probably funding. Pole vault's quite expensive actually. People always ask me like, oh, do you have like one pole? And it's like, no, like in a whole training season, I probably have like 30 40 poles that I use.
Right, what do they
and each
worth?
pole is like $800.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
So you use like little baby poles on the short approach, and then you use longer poles when you get to a further approach, and you're using that during training and then competition. So it's not a cheap sport. So the thing about pole vault and a lot of like explosive disciplines in athletics is you want to be nice and quick.
Okay.
Med balls are great for that because you're pushing weight, but they're bouncy, so you kind of get that bouncy reaction. So from here, we go down and then up. Nice. Good, now try the other side. This is where it will probably like mess you up a bit because it's like the unco side. I know for me, it's like the unco side.
You feel it. So stand. Oh.
Nice.
Definitely not as much power on that side.
Yeah.
I feel like it went anywhere near as high.
Really important to try and balance out the body, and I guess that's what athletes do, especially in a unilateral sport.
Yep.
So things like, you know, cricket, batting on one side, even footy, you got a better leg.
Yeah.
Pole vault's very one-sided. You want to try and balance out the body.
Yeah.
So then you don't get injured, but you're also more powerful.
There's obviously a great body type for pole vaulting, right?
Yeah.
Sort of slim, tall.
So it's actually funny because it's changed over the last few years, or last 10 years, I guess. So when I first started, it was definitely like you want to be slim and tall, have big arm reach, and be coordinated.
Yep.
Now it's very much about being really quick. So if you look at the best pole vaulters in the world, Mondo Duplantis for the men and Nina Kennedy for the women, you know, they're a little bit shorter, but they are so quick, so strong. And really coordinated, like so gymnastically strong. So I think right now it's really about speed, just being really quick.
Yeah, right. Isn't it funny how like sports evolve like that? And even seeing now, even like rugby players aren't anywhere near as big as they used to be. It's very much about speed, and there's some like little nugget guys.
Yeah,
you know, like
and then AFL, like they used to be so little, now they're actually like bigger.
Yeah.
It's like crazy how it changes.
Even I saw there's a guy in the NBA now who's the shortest guy in the NBA. He's like under 6 foot, which is obviously tiny for an NBA player. And compared to the other guys, he just looks like it's a kid playing against adults kind of thing. But he's dominating. Great. So
yeah, it's awesome to see. I guess there's so much more science behind all sports now, and a lot more knowledge. So hey, we're going to go into a little bit of competition now. We all love a little bit of competition. I know I'm definitely competitive. So we're going to do 10 bounds. So bounding is pretty much finding this position in the air.
Right.
And you're trying to step as long as you can. So I'll show you a couple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh God. So I would go.
Yeah, good. More forward. That's it. How are the hamstrings?
Something like that, yeah.
You can be the mark placer, so you can let me know where
Okay, yep. Whoa,
So wherever my heel end.
That was like basically, what's that, 25, 60?
I'm pretty happy with that for a first go.
Nice. About to dominate.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh! You just beat me! Well done.
Let's call that a draw.
Woo.
Nice one.
So normally in a session, I would do maybe like 5 to 6 attempts of that.
Yeah, okay.
And I try and beat my mark every single time.
Yeah, right.
So obviously trying to focus on that intensity, because in pole vault, if you think about your first jump, it's lower, right?
Yeah.
The bar keeps going up, so you kind of want to be doing your best work
that's true,
later on in the competition.
I was going to say, because I feel like if I kept doing that, I'd just fade, but that's kind of the point, right?
No, and I guess you just try and have enough recovery in between.
Yeah, okay.
Again, another reason I like the sport, because you can kind of chill and reset and let your body build up and then give it your all.
And what's your relationship to pole vaulting now?
Just recently, probably in the last 2 months, I've been dabbling in it again.
Yeah.
And just pretty much because I miss the sport so much. And you know, last season I did a little bit of athletics with like long jump and high jump, because I was a high jumper before.
Yeah, okay.
And yeah, I just kind of got this itch to give it a whirl. So at the moment I'm giving it a go, training, and I'm going to try and compete this season.
Yeah,
so
nice.
See how we go.
Because it was, so you went to the Commonwealth Games in 2010.
Yep.
So first of all, how was that? What's the Commonwealth Games like?
Oh, like, to be honest, it was such a blur. Like, I barely remember like anything about it. Maybe I remember the village and competition day, I kind of remember, but bits and pieces. Unfortunately, I had the worst preparation for it, which was so unlike me because I was a pretty consistent athlete. I never really was injured a lot, but I got injured twice before the Com Games and all, you know, like 4 months leading into the games. So it wasn't ideal, but you know, I went out there and I just promised myself I would have the best time and tried to be gentle with myself to be like, hey, you know, you haven't had the best preparation, just enjoy it. This is like the first step, right? Because my goal was Olympics. And yeah, I jumped 20 centimeters below my PB.
Wow.
But it was the third highest height in the comp.
Yeah, okay.
Unfortunately, I didn't get on the podium because 3 out of the girls had also jumped the same height.
Right.
And they do this count back system. So whoever jumps it in the first attempt, they kind of get moved.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, it was a really like amazing experience. I got to represent my country, and it was really like a stepping stone for me to try and push towards the Olympics, you know, in 2 years' time, which didn't end up happening, but
yeah. So are you okay to talk about like why it didn't happen? So you were diagnosed with chronic fatigue, sort of not long after, or it took a while to get diagnosed with that?
It took a little while. So when we came back from Com Games in 2010, you know, we had a couple of weeks off, and at the time, 2 weeks break was the longest break I'd ever had off sport. So we had that, and then we went back into training and things just didn't seem right. You know, I was constantly tired. I was sleeping so much, but just not feeling rejuvenated. I would really struggle in all my training sessions, and I really lost motivation to go to training, which for me was so weird because I was one of those athletes, no matter what, I was just so excited to get to training, even if it was a hard session. So it took about, I would say, like 6 months of going to doctors and specialists, and eventually they diagnosed me with chronic fatigue. So there's no actual test, but they pretty much test everything, and they have these markers, and if you kind of tick off all those markers, they go, yep, you got chronic fatigue.
So they're not finding anything else wrong, so it's sort of like...
No, like, you know, I had tests on my kidneys and liver and heart and everything, and just so unfortunate. I got like taken out of the sport. At that time, I didn't know it was my retirement, but I knew that I had to give my body a rest. So I kind of spoke to my coach and I was like, I think I need to stop, which was, devastating. It was 2011, 2012, I wanted to make it to London.
And did you find that obviously stopping helped?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it gave me the time to look after my body. I was kind of sick at the time of doctors not knowing what was wrong with me, so I kind of took my recovery into my own hands, and that's where I really just tried everything. And people ask me all the time, what's the cure for chronic fatigue? And I'm like, well, there's actually no cure, like you always live with it. Right. But it's just about management and finding things that work for you. So, you know, I went to Chinese medicine, I went to traditional doctors, I went to psychologists, I found yoga, I did meditation, breath work, like whole bunch of stuff, you know, changed my diet. And I feel like it was just a really holistic approach that helped me. And it took a long time, 5 years, like maybe even a little bit longer. So So like, you know, it's so crazy to think though, because obviously you're an elite athlete at the time, right? You've just competed for Australia. And then something like that comes along, it stops you from doing that. And then you take a different approach to a health and fitness. It's sort of, it doesn't go against what we sort of think or know, but you kind of go, that shouldn't happen, you know, being that fit and healthy, but there's a different way, right? And I think now we're sort of seeing that there's a lot more recovery based, a lot more sleep based, you know, like everybody's sort of starting to incorporate those things a lot more. So did you have to sort of like relearn how to work out, how to exercise, how to take care of yourself? Definitely. And I think my biggest lesson was that I am the person who knows the most about my body and I am invested the most. So I should be learning what I should be doing, and I should be, you know, experimenting and finding things that work for me and not just trusting everyone. So I really, you know, started to drive my own training and be like, hey, this actually doesn't work for me. Like, what else can I find that will work? Whether that be food, nutrition, sleep, like physically working out with more weights or whatever it is, like finding that what works for you. And I think that was like my biggest lesson. And you said, like, so you found yoga, you started doing yoga, and that was like a big thing for you? Huge. Like, I hated yoga. When I was an athlete, like, obviously you're very busy mind, you're very competitive, and yoga's like this slow, like boring, sleepy thing, and I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna come here and stretch, like whatever. So it took me a little while, and like at the time I really couldn't do anything. Like, I couldn't go out for a walk, I couldn't run, I couldn't do any movement. And when I kind of got that feeling of I want to move more, I was like, oh, yoga is kind of the only thing I can do. So went to my free local Lululemon class, hated my first class. I was like, oh, but I was like, you know what, I can't do anything else. So I just kept coming back each week, and they'd have different teachers, different styles each week. And yeah, I really learnt to slow down and switch off. And I fell in love with it just because I noticed the changes in my body and more importantly, my mind. Let's do a couple of hamstring scoops, you know, to warm up the hamstrings again. And we'll just run to the end of the tape measure. Let's not do it.
Oh, okay, yeah, good. Okay.
All right, do you want to start us?
Are we actually racing?
Yeah,
I'm competitive.
Oh no.
All right, let's go.
So it'll be on your marks, set, go.
And go on, go.
Yeah,
Okay, ready? On your marks, get set, go. I think I had a head start.
Good race.
I think I had a head start.
Well done.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, look, that was honestly, that was amazing. I love being outdoors and training. I need to do it way more often. Thanks so much.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. And I hope you enjoyed the session.
Anything coming up that you can tell us about, we can see you or?
I'm doing a fitness festival at Scarborough Beach at the beginning of November, which is really exciting. I love coaching in person. And then, yeah, just updating my app. So my partner and I run a fitness app.
Yeah, great.
So we have yoga, Pilates, workouts. We do 30-day challenges as well. We got some plant-based recipes on there.
Nice.
Check it out, Fresh Body Fit Mind.
Yeah, great, get onto it. All right, awesome, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, cheers.